I had a machete in the car. And I get out the car. I had this big jacket on, the machete's underneath of it. And I take off, like, underneath the breezeway to come around behind dude. And I guess when I took off, the girl's like, that's why my homie's coming to kick your ass. And so by the time I got to the stairs, the guy's at the bottom of the stairs. And I'm like, what's up, bro? You going to pay your money? And he's like, what you going to do? Da-da-da. And he pulls out a knife. And I'm like, what are you going to do with that? And I pull out a sword.
I feel like I say this every time, special episode, but we're off-site. We actually are in the back of the Franklin County Common Pleas Courthouse right now doing this interview.
It's cool, man.
And you just got out of jail yesterday.
Yesterday.
And the crazy thing about it is obviously we've both been through addiction and all that. But when I worked at the jail previously, you were incarcerated there, and then I brought meetings in and ran into you again. And now here we are doing this.
It's crazy.
Yeah, never would have expected it.
I mean, dude, just your story alone is amazing.
I appreciate that, and I hope that it helps people. You know,
yeah,
that's the goal. I'm excited to hear your story because I've never heard it, and I just told you before we recorded. I've known you, but I've never heard your story. But I know you have one, and I know it's crazy. And you're sober now.
Sober.
Which is amazing.
Yep.
So let's start with childhood, how that looked and where you grew up.
So I grew up in a big family. I had 2 brothers, 2 sisters. I have an older brother, and then it's me, little brother, and 2 little sisters. Mom and dad divorced when I was 3. Both got remarried instantly and had daughters with their new husband and wife.
Okay.
And yeah, man, growing up, like, with my mom up until I was probably 11, 6th grade, whatever that is. I don't know how old I was, but
that's about right.
It was rough. My mom was married to a prison guard. He was a prison guard in London, Vern, and he was abusive. He was alcoholic. My mom was an alcoholic, and they were abusive, physically, mentally, emotionally. They were toxic.
Was it just you in the home with those 2, or were your brothers and sisters there as
It was
well?
me, my older brother, and my little brother until Taylor came along, and then Taylor's like 9 years younger than me, so she didn't come along for a while. But yeah, it was just basically me and my brother and my older brother.
Alcoholic household.
Bad abuse.
What did it look like? I mean, you're 11, you're a kid, and you're watching this stuff.
Yeah, so my mom tells me, like, a lot of my memories, I know my memories aren't fake, and I got memories back to when I'm like 5 years old, seeing like bottles get flying across the room. Me and my brothers are sitting on the floor, just arguing constantly, Vern grabbing at my mom. I had a mullet back then, God forbid I'm an 80s baby, and I remember Vern would use me, whenever he'd argue with my mom, he'd grab me by my hair, and off the ground. I'm just a little kid. I'm like 5, 6 years old. And he'd just dangle me in front. And my mom would get on her knees, please put him down, and stuff like that.
He used you as like a tool.
Yeah. And then he was about physical discipline. You know, he liked the belt. He liked the hand. He liked to make me pull my pants down and bend over his knee. Pull your pants down. Come over here. Bend over my knee. Just weird stuff, dude. Stuff that nowadays you don't hear. Right. It's weird. But
and it was different back then in general.
Yeah. So I was scared a lot. I was scared to ride my bike because I remember one time I bent my reflector on my bike because I crashed it. A little huffy, and I bent it back. And I was probably like 7 or 8 at this time. And Vern had a prison job, so we had a nice house. We lived in Galloway back then. And I remember I wrecked my bike. I bent the reflector back, and I come back to the house, and he seen that it was bent, and he asked me what happened to your bike. And of course, me being scared, I lied. I said, I don't know.
Right.
And he just got to beating on me with anything in the toy box, plastic swords, anything he could just grab and hit me with. Anyway, so
you were exposed to like alcoholic behavior immediately, basically.
And I was stealing alcohol too. You know, I'd hit the fridge.
When did you start drinking?
Honestly, I can't even remember the first time I stole a beer. I was young. I was probably like 7 or 8. Stole a beer, shared it with my brother. Stole cigarettes. When my sister came along, she had a bronchitis, and she had to be on like the breathing machine. So she would smoke in the bathrooms to like turn the exhaust fan on.
Yeah.
So when I go in the bathroom, there would be a pack of cigarettes there. So I'd grab one and I'd go out back, light it, and hit a couple times and run back the lighter, whatever. You know what I mean? Just stuff like that. And I remember my dad was not present most of the time, and my mom used to say it's because he don't love me and stuff like that, and he has another family and he don't love you, and just weird stuff like that. And so.
Were you in school?
Yeah, I was in school. I remember the first time, so I was a little thief. First time I got suspended from school was
Okay,
fourth grade.
hold on before you tell the story. So I believe that I was doing alcoholic behaviors before I ever picked up a drink or a drug, like stealing and shit like that. Do you feel like it was the same for
Absolutely.
you? Okay,
Yeah.
tell us the story.
Well, I got on the bus and this girl had a Game Boy, and I asked her to let me play with it, and she's like, "No, you're not allowed to touch it." My dad said no one can touch it, so I'm like, I hit a lick. I watched where she put the bag.
How old are you?
I'm in fourth grade. I'm in Miss Tedesco's class.
You hit a lick.
I hit a lick.
Okay.
She put the Game Boy in her book bag, and I watched her hanging on her hook. I went to the bathroom right before recess, so whenever I come out of the bathroom, everybody was going out of the classroom in recess. I went and got in her bag and took her Game Boy.
Wow.
So I had it for like maybe a day or two, and Vern seen it, and he's like, "Where'd you get this?" And I said, "My friend, I'm borrowing it. It's my friend's." And then lo and behold, I don't know how it got around. I don't know if Vern or my parents said something to the school. I don't know, but it come out that I stole it from the girl. I got suspended in fourth grade, and I got a beating for that. Pretty bad beating for that. And that was the first lick I ever hit. That's the first time I ever wanted something that someone else had, and I couldn't afford. We didn't afford that stuff.
You just took it.
I took it.
That's what you knew.
I wanted it, and I still remember her face in my head and everything. I can't remember her name. I think it might have been Sarah.
What did high school look like as you progressed?
So
especially with like your drinking and stuff. You started so young.
So sixth grade, my dad started getting us a lot more. Started going to court for us, and we told Dad we wanted to move in with him.
Okay.
Me and my little brother. So
this would get you out of that situation.
Yeah, and we told him about it. Like that's the reason why he started. Like we told him Vern was beating us and a lot of abuse, and they're alcoholics and everything. So Dad got custody of us in sixth grade, and we moved in with my dad in the Bottoms on Avondale.
Okay. West side.
West side. We had a half a double, 193 and a half Avondale. It was an upstairs half a double, 2 bedrooms. It was me, my little brother, my older brother, 1 bedroom with a bunk bed. Me and my little brother shared the bottom bunk. And my stepmom, my dad, and my little sister inside of their room.
Damn.
My Uncle Dave on the couch. And my dad had a full-grown Rottweiler and this other dog that was a mutt.
Holy shit.
It was a lot.
That's West Side.
It's West Side.
That's what that is.
It was a lot. And we had a business back then, Metro Fire and Safety. And it was on Cypress. That was our shop. And we would walk from the house to the shop every day, and that's what we did.
What was the shop?
It was Metro Fire and Safety, my
Okay.
dad's shop.
Okay.
It was his little self-employed business, and that's what I did. My dad taught me how to work.
So when you moved in with Dad, things got better.
Oh, dude, it was night and day.
Really?
It was night and day. It was Dad was scared to punish us like physically, you know,
right,
so we've
because
been
of
through.
what was going on.
And I was a manipulator. I manipulated that, you know. I did a lot of things that my dad didn't deserve, you know. So that happens later, though. So growing up in the shop and everything, Dad taught me how to work. I have a great work ethic because of him. He taught me everything. I was hand threading, inch and quarter pipe by hand because our pony broke. Just a whole lot of physical labor, and he taught me everything.
Ethic, yeah.
And I remember first time. I hate saying this. God, Dad, forgive me. I hope stepmom don't watch this. So I gotta say it. It's part of the story, right?
Okay.
Oh man, Dad's gonna hate me. I'm not gonna tell him what this is. I'm not gonna tell him.
Okay.
So I got suspended from West in 9th grade, and it was we had a new principal, and we weren't allowed to leave on our lunch break. Well, we left on our lunch break anyways, me and a group of like 4 people, and we went down the street to like Domino's and got some pizza and come back. We weren't even late for our lunch break, but they suspended us for like 11 days or something crazy, 12 days. And Dad come into the school from his lunch break. He was drinking on his lunch. My dad drinks, but he's not alcoholic.
Right.
He's nothing like an alcoholic.
Sure.
But he come in and he was vivid. He was mad. Like, you're suspending him for, wasn't even late for his class or nothing.
Oh, he was mad at the school.
Yeah.
Okay.
And told him that he was going to withdraw me, and he did. I went to life skills after that. But that same day, we went to the bar with his work buddy Heath, and we was drinking at the bar. And they was letting me drink with him. And I thought I was part of the group. I was part of the, you know what I mean? I wanted to be cool, fit in with my dad. I thought this was cool. And then we went out to the truck. And at this point, I've smoked weed, and I might have like stole a pill if I seen a pill or something.
Sure.
But I never did nothing harder.
Regular high school stuff.
Yeah. And we went out to the truck, and Heath, I'm in the back seat behind Heath in the Tahoe. Heath grabs a book from like this and puts it on his lap, and he's doing something up there. And he looks at Steve, my dad, and he says, "Hey, does he want one?" And my dad looks at me, says, "Do you want one?" I said, "What?" He says, "A line." I'm like, "Of what?" He said, "Cocaine." Dumbass, like I was supposed to already know. And I'm like, "Well, yeah." He's like, "You've done it before, right?" Because I think I lied and told Dad I did, or
Sure.
I don't know. He thought I did it already. And I did my first line of cocaine with my dad at
Ninth grade.
Ninth grade.
Wow.
And
Just so you don't feel alone in that, same thing with my mom.
yeah.
Once it got bad, it was just me and my mom getting high. So it's more common than you think.
I hate saying this because I don't want to pour like any salt on my
Make
dad.
it look
or
bad,
nothing.
yeah, I
My
understand.
dad's a great person, dude. He's the best dad I could ever had. He did so I was in the bottoms. He thought that I was already getting high because of the people I was hanging around. He thought, okay, you know what? My whole from 6th grade to 8th, we stayed in the shop. In 9th grade, I started hanging out with the friends in the neighborhood. So he did what he thought he needed to do to keep me at the house, to keep me out of the streets.
Keep you
and
safe.
he thought if I was going to party, I was going to do it at home,
With
under
him.
the roof, where it was safe.
Yep.
And I wasn't going to be doing nothing stupid. And that was his take on it. And he wasn't like I don't think he was a bad dad for it.
No, man, it is what it is. I mean, it's addiction. It's
Right.
disease. It is what it is. I went through the same thing.
And so we did coke till I was 18, 19 years old. We worked together. I got kicked out of life skills, imagine that. And I withdrew from high school. I just didn't ever get I got a GED in CBCF my first time around in 2012. But so me and Dad was getting high. We're snorting lines off the game box. I remember I learned a trick. If I put the lines close enough, I'd snort them both, and then I'd be like, "Oh, my bad," and I'd put him one, so I would get two, and so, just stupid dope fiend stuff like that.
You know, Dustin, I have never shared this on a podcast up to this point. I did the same thing, except with Mom, we were IV drug users.
Yeah.
So I would intentionally put more in my rig
Yeah.
instead of hers. Same shit.
It's just like, it's not. Can you believe it, dude? Like, I don't know.
Take us to the first time you got arrested and legal trouble started to pop up in your life.
So Dad quit on me. He dropped dirty for life insurance or something like that. And it was time he's like, "Look, I'm not getting high no more." And my dad did. He quit cold turkey. He never did anything again since then. But I, being fresh, was like, "Okay, you're not going to get high with me. I know a bunch of other people that will." Sure. And this time I got the plug or whatever. Dad was getting the coke off of my guy and whatever. So I went to the streets and I started getting high in the streets. I started doing a lot of pain pills.
What year was this?
I was 19. This was 2009.
All right.
Oh, no,
Oxycontin.
2007. Yeah, so I eventually did go to OxyContin. But I started doing heroin before Oxys, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, so I started dating a girl, and she, I was 19, and she did heroin before, and I was already addicted to pills, withdrawal without them and stuff. And I would tell her, I'm never going to do that. She'd tell me I'm wasting money or whatever, but she wasn't doing no heroin, no. She was just doing the pills with me. One day we couldn't find none, and I was sick. And she's like, "I'm telling you, you'll get well. You'll love it. It's way better. It's way cheaper."
Cheaper.
I'm like, "Screw it. If it's going to get me well, go get it." And she went and got it, and I loved it.
Is it black tar?
Yeah, black tar. And the first time I ever did heroin, it was IV.
Really?
And
did she shoot you up? Did you do it yourself?
she shot me up.
Really?
I couldn't even look. I'm like this.
And you fell in love.
Yeah. It started a whole new chapter of my life It turned into a piece of crap. So I couldn't work no more.
And when you say you couldn't work, you mean you couldn't hold a job?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was working mostly with Dad. Like when I was 17, even in addiction, I was the youngest guy in Ohio to get my certified for fire extinguisher license. Working at APCO Fire with my dad, certified to do extinguishers, doing pipe fitting. I had a great job still up until I was 17. But then when Dad quit on me when I was 18, that's whenever I just said screw the jobs, and I was trying to hustle anything I was getting high on to pay for the drugs. And I said screw working. I wanted to be the dope boy. I wanted to get money, and I never touched anything like real money. I maybe had $1,000 that I was playing with at the most. That was a lot back then for me.
Yeah. So you're like mid-level.
But in my head, I was the man,
you're
right?
the fucking man.
In my head, I don't know.
I loved that feeling. Me personally, when people like needed me for drugs, like my phone would blow up. I loved the way I felt. It was like, oh, I'm important.
Yeah. And that's how it was, man. You just felt like someone needed you, and it gave you a purpose.
So you dive into heroin head first.
Yeah.
Tell us about that chapter. I mean, obviously, at some point, you find yourself in the back of a cop car.
Yeah.
And we talked before this. There were some other things that happened. What does that chapter of your life look like once you start heroin?
Whenever I was, when I started trying to sell, I had a gun on me, and I broke up with Cassie, and I started dating this other girl, and I was running around the bottoms with I don't even know what kind of, it was like a high point, running around with that on me. And me and her were fighting on Dakota, and when we we was walking down the street. When we got to Dakota and Broad, the police pulled up on us, and I tried to hand her the gun, like right in front of the cops. She took off running with it. She's a G for that. Yeah, well,
she took the charge?
Well, so she was going to, but I told the cops that it was mine, because here I am like, no, don't let, I don't know what I was.
Yeah, don't let her.
So we both got charged for it. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
We both got charged for it, and I got probation the first time. I got probation, and
does anything like happen in your head? Are you like, oh shit? Or are you just like, this is what comes with this lifestyle? Are you just like accepting it? Or are you like, maybe I should make a change?
So I thought that I thought jail was cool. I thought going to jail was cool.
Really?
I never had like a bad story in jail, like where like I've got plenty of fights, but never like had like where like you hear all these stories of the workhouse, people walking people on chain, like dog chains and stuff. Nothing like that. You know what I mean? I was always able to like hold my own.
Sure.
But so I just thought that was what I needed to do, to be this version of me, this mask I was wearing. I thought that that's who I needed to be. Was I had to go to jail. I had to get the experience. So I go to jail. I get out on probation, and then I just keep doing everything I was doing. Eventually violate probation, catch another dope case for, I can't remember, heroin. I've got probably 12 possession charges.
Felony possessions?
Yeah, I got like a total of like 16 felonies.
Wow.
17 felonies. Nothing to brag about at all. It's stupid.
No, I understand, yeah.
So I eventually go to CBCF in 2012, and that was my first taste of AA. And they made you go then. You had to go get your slip signed. And I just went. Like, I remember I read the steps, and I remember not even paying attention to 1, 2, and 3. But I went to 4. I'm like, oh, I want to do this. And I did. I just started writing all this stuff.
Which is inventory. Like essentially looking inward.
Yeah, but with no higher power yet. Like I knew there was a God, but I didn't give it all over to him yet or nothing like that. It was all about, I don't know, I just thought I could skip that, you know what I mean?
Sure.
I didn't want to.
You didn't want to really do the work. You just kind of wanted to like get clean.
Yeah, I still had like questions. Like I believed in, I don't know, like something, but I didn't know what it was yet. So I get out of CBCF. Never really actually going to sponsor, none like that.
When you get out though, are you like, you're like, all right, I'm going to do the right thing? Or your intentions were probably good?
Intentions, I don't know, because...
Or were you that guy, like, fuck it, when I get out, I'm getting high?
I got high pretty quick, but I wasn't nearly as bad as I was. But I done lost all the swerves I had, all like the people that was buying off of me. I didn't have that no more. So whenever I did relapse, which was probably about 6 months, I did do good for about 6 months. I had no money, and I started stealing from my dad. And that's like, I took my dad through the mud and it's all a blur, honestly. for so many years, I was in and out of jail after that. Prison. I stole everything from my dad that he didn't have bolted to the floor,
What?
including his truck and everything.
You stole his truck.
Yeah, one time my little brother was supposed to take me somewhere, and he said, I got to use the restroom real quick, and he's warming the truck up, and I jumped in it and took off while he was in the bathroom. Piece of shit.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Wow. What? When did you go to prison, and what was that for?
The first time I went to prison was I was drug possessions and a CCW. Carrying concealed was my second one.
Which, for our viewers, if you are a convicted felon and you get
Weapons.
caught with any kind of weapon, it's mandatory time.
Yeah, back then
Correct.
it was.
Okay.
Yep. And I did 2.5 in.
Where at?
I did that at Noble. I did all my time in Noble.
Was that smooth?
Yeah, it was just, I mean, there's drugs in there. So I just went to prison and
Well, I'm curious.
getting high.
Like, in some ways, like you're a vet, right? Like you've really been through it. Like you've been to prison a bunch of times. When you go to prison, what's your angle? Like, how do you handle yourself? What does that look like for you?
So
because it's different for everyone.
when I first went into prison, I got involved with a gang,
Okay.
KF, and that's what I
Which is convicted family, right?
yeah, and that's who I with the mask on, that's who I thought I needed to be. I needed to be with these guys. These are all the homies from the neighborhood, and that, like I said, I thought this was the image that I thought it was cool. And so I did a lot of stupid stuff, beating people up, getting beat up, going to the hole, getting high. It's all we did was run up.
Is there any one story in particular from prison that sticks out to you that you'll like never forget?
I mean, yeah, no. One time dude tried to chalk me on some money, and I was at Belmont. This is my second number, and I remember.
So he owed you money and he didn't want to pay it.
So no, I sent money to get the strip, and he didn't bring it out. Like
Okay.
the guy who had the strips had a runner, and the runner stole my strip. So I didn't even think twice. I seen him in the Sallyport 7 house at Belmont, and I cleaned his slate. I beat him to the ground, and I just seen red. I beat him till the police came. Like, I beat him in the Sallyport for every bit of 30 seconds until the police finally got from their desk to where we was, and I went to the hole, and I got my level raised, and I got a taste of real prison. I went to Lebanon. Got my level raised and went to Lebanon.
What's the difference?
Well, it's way more confined. The cells, you're in a cell.
Is it 23 and 1? It's not 23 and 1.
You get an hour and a half.
Okay.
So morning and then evening, and then 1 hour for the gym.
For rec.
But you're in a cell that's so tiny. You can lift up and touch the ceiling. I mean, I couldn't be standing up and my bunkie get up and walk past me. I had to get on the
Move out
rack
of the
for
way.
him to move. Yeah, there was no room. But of course, it's flooded with drugs. So what do? You get high and you don't even think about it.
Yeah,
That's
what's that look like? For me, in the county jail, I was never lucky enough to find myself in a tank with drugs.
Yeah.
And I say that because the times I did get arrested, I wasn't ready to get clean.
Yeah.
So if there had been drugs, I definitely would have taken them. But
Yeah.
I was never lucky enough to end up in a tank with drugs. So what does that look like in prison? Like you mentioned the Suboxone strips. How much do those go for?
Well, it depends on where you're at. So at Noble back then, it was like $450 a strip. Yeah, 400. If you were getting quarters of the strip, you were paying every bit.
And
of
they're what,
150.
$20 on the street?
Yeah, it's cheaper than that now.
Really?
Yeah, they're like $5 on the streets.
Wow.
But yeah, dude, it was Lebanon though was different. Lebanon, the strips were $80. They had meth in there. They had everything in there. I was smoking real weed, like not
How?
K2, real weed.
How does it get in?
I mean, honestly,
The guards?
yeah. I mean, that's the only way I could think of that. And I mean, everybody knows the visits and
Right.
stuff like that. You got contact visits, but it was just
Flooded.
Flooded, man. It was more than you could do. There was a lot of dope. And that's what you did. You just did that, and your time would fly. And
Yeah,
I
you'll-
left
you'll
Lebanon
wake
with a
up and-
whole habit. I TC'd from Lebanon and went to a halfway house. And at that halfway house, I was withdrawing because I was on Suboxone so heavy in the joint.
You
And-
left prison addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
That is fucking insane.
And the whole time, I'm manipulating my dad because he feels bad,
To
right?
get money.
Well, because what I blamed him. Dad, I wouldn't be like this if it, you know what I mean? And I would say that to him. I was a piece of crap, dude. And I would make him feel awful because I needed it. It's all about me. I was so selfish in my addiction and in prison, and I'd expect him to buy my drugs and put money on my books, and just stuff that I wish I could take back, man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm blessed to have a father like I have.
Yeah.
Um,
And you guys have a good relationship.
it's my best friend, man.
That's awesome.
I'd do anything for my dad.
That's amazing.
I just wish I would have been just better. You know what I mean?
Well, now's your chance.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know.
Yeah. I skipped something though. So during whenever I told you I got out and I was stealing from my dad, I had a girlfriend at the time, and I talked her into start tricking. I got her hooked up on this website, and she started tricking.
Was it Backpage?
That was one of them, and then Seeking Arrangements was one. It was for like sugar daddies and stuff.
Okay.
I had her on Seeking Arrangements, and well, she had herself on Seeking Arrangements. I would just whatever. I'd play the secretary.
I've never heard how this works, so I'm very intrigued to hear this.
Oh God. So yeah, I mean, I would do all the texts, and I would basically act like her and finesse the guy. Half the time, they would just send money, you know, like PayPal or something.
Really?
Yeah, and but there was times she would have to go and hang out with them, and she didn't like it. But I would talk her into it. I would manipulate her and tell her, you know, you're doing this for us, and all that jazz, because we're living in hotels, and she lost her babies because of me, because of the addiction. She wasn't nearly as bad as she was before she met me, and she's dead now. Tabitha Allhouse is dead, and I feel can I blurt that last name out if you guys can?
Sure.
All right. Just because I don't.
Yeah, you're good. We got you.
Her. Them are like amends I got to make now, like with like her mom and stuff like that. I got a whole list of things I got to clean up. But so she met a friend that was tricking also, and I gave her
And
friend
just
a
to be
ride.
clear, tricking for the viewers
Is a prostitute.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And her friend was this is before I had her on Backpage. Her friend was on Backpage already, and was showing her like how to do it. How you every time you pay, you go to the top of the list, because that's all it is. It's like
This is like Craigslist.
It's like Craigslist.
Prostitutes.
And, yeah, it literally was Craigslist for prostitutes. And every time you would pay your little whatever it was, $10 fee or whatever, you would go back to the top of the list. And that's what. So that girl was doing that, and she had a trick, a John call her or whatever, and she needed a ride. And me and her was broke at the time. I had an 89 Grand Marquise, and the ignition was peeled because I lost all my keys to it. Because I had 6 set of keys for this Grand Marquise. I bought it off an old lady. Okay. And so I had to peel the ignition because we lost all the keys. And I drove the girl from, we was on the hilltop. I drove her up to the Days Inn Motel on 17th Avenue.
By the fairgrounds.
Yeah, and I had her and her boyfriend in the back seat, and then I had my girlfriend in the front seat. And the girl in the back seat goes up there, and we're all three in the car. And I don't know, like 20 minutes goes by. She comes around to the balcony like, hey, get up here, get up here. So her boyfriend gets out and runs over there. I pull the car around back to be right underneath the building. And she's like, the guy chalked me. We're going to keep his room. Now come up here. And I'm thinking that it was just a whole scam. She just needed a ride up there. There was never no trick.
Sure.
And she was going to give me $40 out of this, and I needed my $40. So I'm like, we're not staying. She's like, well, if you guys ain't staying, we're not staying either. And they all come back out to the car. I'm about to pull out the parking lot, and the guy walks by on the balcony because it's like all outside doors and everything.
Yep.
And she jumps out the car, and I'd say to her, boy, I'm all twacked out of my mind. I'm doing meth now at this time. And anything. I was doing anything.
Sure.
And I'm like, hey, let's go jump this dude. And he's like, no, man. And I had a machete in the car. And I get out the car. I had this big jacket on, the machete's underneath of it. And I take off, like, underneath the breezeway to come around behind dude. And I guess when I took off, the girl's like, that's why my homie's coming to kick your ass. And so by the time I got to the stairs, the guy's at the bottom of the stairs. And I'm like, what's up, bro? You going to pay her money? And he's like, what you going to do? And he pulls out a knife. And I'm like, what are you going to do with that? And I pull out a sword, right? I pull out this machete. And I got Jesus Christ tied on my arm from 2012, right? Where my first number after CBCF, so 2014. I got this Jesus Christ tattooed on my arm. See how, like, my hand becomes Jesus' hand? Like, see how it's, like, three-dimensional? So that's Christ, right? This is my hand. I'm left-handed. And I pull out the machete like this. And the guy's coming at me. And I'm, like, flinching at him. But he's not backing up. He's not giving up. And I'm about to chop him, and I know I would have killed him because it's a brand new machete I just stole from my dad in the garage. And I come down with it, and something made me let go. And it ding hits the ground, and the guy stabbed me in my neck. I got a big old scar on my neck right here where he stabbed me in my neck, stabbed me in my face, stabbed me in my temple. And I take off running back to the car. and we lock ourselves in the car. He's outside the car.
You're bleeding.
I'm bleeding. They're keeping pressure on
everywhere.
it. They can't get the ignition started because it was peeled. So I end up getting in the driver's seat, starting the car, and trying to hit the guy with the car, chase him around the parking lot. Anyways, driving myself to the hospital, to Mount Carmel West, because that's the only hospital I really know, like in and out. And while we're on the way, she's on the phone with the police, the girl that turned the trick, my ex's friend, and she's calling the police, and they get behind us while we're on 70, or while we're on, yeah, we just got on 70 off 71, and they follow us. They don't hit the lights or nothing. They follow us all the way to the hospital. I pull into the parking garage, and the cop goes into the cul-de-sac. And I go into the hospital. I'm stabbed. I'm pacing. I'm high. My adrenaline's pumping. And they're like, "Stop moving," because I'm walking back and forth. And I look down, and I just got there's blood everywhere.
Everywhere.
I'm just trailing it everywhere I go. I'm just trailing blood everywhere. So they put me in ICU. Or no, it was trauma. It was a trauma unit. That's what it was called.
It was that bad.
They put me in the trauma unit. And they stitched me up. Detectives come talk to me. I tell them I don't know nothing. But the girl stole a bag out of the room when it happened. So she has this guy's ID. And she tells the cop it was him that stabbed me, right? Well, the guy shows up at the hospital too, at Grant. So after it's all said and done, I get released out of ICU. Cops are going through the car still. We're in the cul-de-sac smoking a cigarette. And they cut me out of my clothes. I'm all cut out of my clothes. So they gave me these shorts that were like these Daisy Duke Hanes shorts. I'm just looking crazy out there,
You've just
dude.
been stabbed 3 times in
Neck's
the
like
head.
this. I got this big pack. Yeah, because they weren't going to let me stay because I was so high. And it just barely missed my artery right here.
Yeah,
Like, I'm lucky
dude.
to be alive.
Yeah. That is one of the most insane stories I've ever heard in my life. I mean, ever.
I would leave the part of whenever I would tell that story. So for years, I thought that I looked like a bitch, right? Because I had the upper hand. I had this machete, and I let this little dude stab me with this knife. So I would tell the story different that I didn't have the machete. I would leave that part out for years.
Really?
And CBCF, so I've been to CBCF now twice in the last 2 years. Last year, I come clean with the real story, and I told it at a Bible study, and it just was this weight of lifted off of me that I was able to just not hide behind. I would say that I ran up on the guy trying to fight him, and I dipped his punch, and he had a knife.
Yeah, you make the story whatever you want to make it.
Yeah, and so like to tell it the way it was, it just felt good, and it made me. That was like the first real taste of taking the mask off. You know what I mean? And I started learning like I started paying attention more to what I would do. Like so that's one thing about CBCF. It makes you pay attention to yourself, right? And so
Yeah, you
like
have an opportunity to really like look at yourself.
being a vet of CBC, I've been there 4 times now.
Jesus.
2020 got kicked out for dropping dirty. There's a whole lot in between.
Take me to today, because you just got out of jail.
Yeah.
Which I mean, dude, I said it before, but I'm so glad that you get to do this today. Like, you get to tell your story today, the day after you got out of jail. I mean, you just mentioned the weight being lifted the first time you told it. So I'm glad you get to do this.
And I've never done it. I've never told my story. So like, and it was that's why it's so, sketched out. Like I'm leaving things out. But so when the real magic happened last time I was in CBCF in 2022.
Okay.
When I got out, I was the best version of me, and I had the right mindset. I had the sponsor. I had a home group. I was participating at the church I went to. I was in a sober living when I got out. Went to Forward Health, and I was doing really good. And then so whenever I got out, they tell you to delete all the numbers.
Sure.
And I didn't have the numbers on my phone, but I had my old Gmail, and I put it on my phone. All the numbers flooded my phone, but I didn't think nothing of it. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. They didn't have my number. But I had a guy in there that I would sell to, and it was like I would call it a power swerve. Like I was able to sell a couple grams to him and make a couple
Make
$100.
like good money.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
One of those.
And I had, so I kept looking at his number, and I was in sober living, so I was broke. I wasn't working yet. And eventually I called him. I'm like, "What's up, man? Just checking on him." And he's like, "I need you to do that." And, "Oh, I'm not doing that no more. I'm sober, but just checking on you, see how you're doing." And then now he has my number, though. Now he's calling me like, "Man, I just wish you was with just one time, man, please." And I eventually did it. I sold him some stuff, and that was the first lapse I had before the dope relapse. And that's the turn I made. That's the first more I threw out, and it was just a domino effect after that. After that, I was still sober, didn't get high, but I kept selling to him, and I thought I had this all figured out.
Yeah, you're just going to sell drugs. And
I can sell
all
drugs
good.
again, mask back on, right?
Sure, yeah.
I'm able to sell.
You can
this.
kind of play both.
Yeah, And that's what I was doing. I was
Yeah.
faking it. I was faking it in the groups because I'd been through CBCF so much. I knew everything to say. And then I would go and I would sell drugs. And then I got kicked out for my second curfew violation at Forward Health. And I tried to move in with the girl I was dating at the time. I'm like, you need to let me move in. And she's like, no, hold on. Like, I have a daughter here. She's a teenager. This is something we have to talk about. And, oh, you're not going to let me move in? All that, pity me. And I was like, I'm going to show you. And I relapsed. And I thought I was hurting.
Get high at somebody.
Yeah, I thought I was going to
Yep.
hurt her by hurting myself, self-sabotage. And I did, man. And it's crazy. So I stayed in a hotel up until I got caught. And I got caught with another gun. This is like my fourth pistol charge. Whenever the cops caught me, before they caught me, I was every day alone in the hotel, and I was writing a lot. And so whenever I got caught from the hotel, my dad went and picked up all my stuff. And we just went to the shop yesterday and got my stuff out of the shop, and I was going through my bags, making sure I had nothing in there. I was with my dad. I told him, I said, I don't know what's in this stuff because I can't remember.
Right.
But we're going to go through everything, and if there's anything, I'm throwing it away. So we went through everything, and I found these letters I was writing, and it's crazy. I started bawling reading them. I was talking about how, like, I was so lonely in this hotel, and I didn't want to be there, and I had everything figured out, and what lesson did I miss? Like, I just wish I could restart. And, I met my higher power by now. I was going to church, like I said, and participating.
So you were, like, in this hotel by yourself doing drugs. You wanted to get clean.
Yeah.
You just couldn't get it together.
I was so lost and lonely. I didn't. The drugs was the only thing I had to give me a purpose at the time, and so I couldn't just get sober because I felt I don't know, man. When you're getting high, it tricks you into thinking that you're somebody, that you're doing something. I don't know. Like
I vividly remember I was with my mom. I was driving on the north side. We had just got some dope. And I remember turning to my mother and saying, I was like, why wouldn't anyone want to live this life? That's what I asked her as I just scored dope that we were going to go shoot up. It's like, that was like the best life ever. Like the chaos, the crazy shit. Like, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved every second of it until it fucking fell apart.
I started hating it when I got convicted. Once I started going to church and I got baptized, I started like feeling like God a lot more active in my life. And so when I relapsed in 2022, when I got out of CBCF, the time before this time, I felt bad for it. Like, I was told my dad and everything. Everybody knew I was relapsed. I was honest with him. I said, I don't know why. I can't figure it out, but this is what it is right now. And just help me get through this. And I even went to rehab, but I got out of rehab and started getting right back to getting high. And I was writing them letters. And God did for me what I couldn't do for myself. He put me right back in jail where I could actually get real sober. And
I literally just talked to Judge Munson about that exact same thing. I asked her, I said, where are you at with incarceration as a tool to help someone get sober? Because for me, it was the same. You had to take me off the street.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not stopping unless you put me in cuffs.
I couldn't do it.
So
one taste right now, I'm going back. It's off the deep end. I can't even entertain even a little something like alcohol or anything right now. Like,
so you're one day out. You've been through, I mean, I think it's safe to say hell and back. Is that fair?
Oh yeah. Talk about demons, man.
What's going through your head today? I know the times I got released from jail, my head was everywhere. Where are you at right now?
I'm here, man. I'm here, like, in the sense that, like, I'm not out of my body. Like, I'm not trying to be somebody else. Like, I'm here trying to figure out who I am, you know? And I know I want to help. Like, I know how it makes me feel, like, even in CBCF, like, when I would, like, do a class or when I would, like, just talk to guys, like, how it made me feel, trying to help them out with their things. Like, I just want to do something that's going to be remembered. I just want to help people and have, like, a good, I don't even know what to call it, dude. Like a legacy, like something
Sure.
like leave behind because we're not going to be here forever, right? So like I want to build something that's just like just bigger than anything. I'm like just something more. Like so like I'm fresh out, like I said, and I don't. I honestly, so like I have an idea what I want. Like I want to do AA, I want to do church, but transportation's the issue, right?
Right.
So like I have to take it slow because that's what happens. I get so caught up on well, I can't do none of this unless I have some money. So that's what makes me do stupid stuff to get money. So I gotta just be slow with it.
Patient.
And I've learned to pay attention to like what like the signs my higher power gives me, right? So like he gave me that note yesterday when I got out, and I'm like, man, I needed that. And then just through all these little signs, if I just pay attention enough, like I know which way to go. Like even today, like Shannon calling me, like, hey, come in for this. Like it was like, yeah, why wouldn't I? Like it's just I'm just going by.
Yeah, dude,
just
the
walking by
fact that
faith.
you like showed up early for this is really good.
Yeah,
I mean, that's how you need to approach this.
for sure.
What's your plan, I guess? Because, and I ask you that, and you may have heard me say this before, but a lot of guys before they get out of jail, their plan is to like eat a steak, hook up with their girl, smoke a cigarette,
Yeah,
and then once they do those things and day 2 comes, they're like, holy shit,
yeah.
my life is still a fucking train wreck and I have
Yeah.
to fix it. So I guess where do you stand with that today?
So I'm working. I got out and I went straight to work yesterday with my dad. We worked together, and I plan on going to church Sunday. I got a ride set up for that and everything. I wanted to hit No Limits meeting last night, go say hi to everybody. I didn't really get a chance to because we was working at the hotel. So I just want to work and pay back some of the money I took from my dad because dude, I have license today. In 2009, I lost my license. It said suspended until indefinite. I did a hit and run. I nodded out and I hit somebody. There's a whole lot of stuff I left out, right? So like I did a hit and run and lost my license until indefinite. So today I have license.
What happened in the hit and run that they took your license indefinitely? Like
So
what?
it was so I got away, but the car I used, they had the tags, or either that or the guy. Or it was my ex's dad, Cassie's dad. He told on me. He was like, "Hey, I don't know what happened. He had my car and it's wrecked now." So I ended up. I was first time I was at CBCF 2012. I know I'm all over the place.
No, you're fine.
I got served papers
Perfect.
saying that I had a court date, and the date that was on it was for after my out date. So I just threw it in my box, didn't think nothing of it.
Yep.
Well, apparently I was supposed to respond to the paperwork stating I wanted to take it to court or something. I didn't even read it. It was a stack like that. So they just went ahead and pled in their behalf on the hit and run, and it should have been like that. I was doped up and hit a lady's car. I don't know if she had kids in there or what,
Right.
So they charged me like it was like $12,000 something back then for the hit and run, and it's gained interest since then. And my license were took for indefinite is what it said on the paperwork. So
But you got it back.
I got it back. So when I got out of CBCF this last time, I took this program called Building Futures for Tomorrow.
Okay.
And it's like to get you set up in a trade in a union and stuff. And they had something called emergency funds. And they gave me $2,000 to put towards my license. And that's all that the company wanted. It was a collections agency for Erie Insurance. And the Erie Insurance just wanted some money. And they said, you pay the $2,000 down, we'll give you your license back, maintain payments for $200 a month until it's paid off, and you'll be able to keep your license. So I got incarcerated right after that. I paid the $2,000. I was paying a couple $200s, and then I got arrested. So my dad maintained the payments for me this whole year. I've been locked up since January 26th. This whole year, my dad maintained them payments for me.
Damn.
So I could keep my license. So I have a license today.
You are, and I genuinely mean this. You're in the right place. You're a good dude. I know you're a good dude. Just fucking do it. Please, God, just fucking do it.
I wanted peer support.
Yeah,
I was
dude.
talking to this girl at peer sports for CBCF, and she's like, the guys need you, need male male people.
Dude.
And I'm like, well, who am I to be a role model? But she's like, no, you don't get it, dude. Like, you just go there and just talk to them. And
You're the best role model. You get clean, you're the fucking best.
Yeah,
Because you're just like them.
facts.
You telling your story like this, dude, who knows who it'll reach. I really appreciate you, taking the time to come here early to do this.
I wish I didn't shit truck it, dude.
Dude, you didn't at all. You did not at all. That was fantastic, seriously.
I'm sorry, Dad.
Dude, you're good. Thank you so much.